I'd first like to mention that I'm making this video mostly with beginner artists in mind, but of course, if you're a more advanced artist, I hope you find something useful in this video as well. So, if you've clicked on this video, I'm going to make the assumption that you struggle to draw as much as you wish you could. That's a pretty common and understandable issue to have. So here's the quick and relatively simple way to fix that, or at least the one that worked for me. I'll explain a little bit more about this technique, but essentially, the goal is to train your brain to love drawing through positive reinforcement. Now, it used to be that every time I'd sit down at my desk to draw, I'd get frustrated after a very short amount of time, like less than an hour. Then I wouldn't draw for days or even weeks at a time after that, which, as you can imagine, meant I wasn't making any progress towards my drawing goals. This was because every time I sat down to draw, I'd end up upset or even angry at myself that I couldn't draw properly, or what I wanted to do wasn't coming out right. Any number of reasons, really. But the important component to this was that every time I drew and failed at it, I would come away feeling negatively about the act of drawing itself. It was during one of these periods of not drawing that I realized the root cause of my problem. If you've ever been around timid animals, you'll probably pick up on how this idea works right away. When you've got a timid animal who doesn't like to be held or touched, one of the easier ways of getting them to trust you is by making every interaction you have with them a positive experience. In other words, whenever I went to draw, I'd punish myself for messing up, which would make me more nervous the next time I tried to draw. Over time, this had a compounding effect. Instead of just being unsure about drawing, I'd start sweating, panicking, or even dreading trying to do this activity I thought I loved. Which, of course, isn't the kind of state of mind you should be in when you're trying to learn something new. It'd be like having a panic attack every time you go for a run. You'd be too busy being worried about failing to actually be learning or even just enjoying a hobby. So, what I'd do instead is deliberately make every drawing session enjoyable. The core of which was just keeping things short, simple, and ending on a high note. In the beginning, I'd even make sure to grab a snack or a lolly for once I was done, just to double down on the positive aspect of it. For example, if I wanted to improve in a particular area, I'd keep the study session short and sweet, as in only 10 or so minutes to begin with, before stopping and drawing something fun and easy. But, you say, what if nothing I draw is easy? Everything is hard for me. Worry not, I hear you. Heck, I was there not too long ago. So, what about drawing bad stickmen? Or a cool, if a little wonky sword? Or flowers? What about drawing circles and giving them weird old googly eyes? Draw literally anything that's simple, and that brings you joy in the moment you're doing it. Hell, maybe just make that your first drawing session if you're really struggling. Then, after you've drawn something small and silly and fun, you stop drawing for the day. End the session on a high note, look over what you did, and tell yourself you did a good job. Because you did. You tried learning something new, and you did something fun, and sometimes that's more than enough. And now that you've got that down, just rinse and repeat. Just some simple new skill, like learning to draw forms, for 10 or 20 minutes, or maybe just work on a larger piece for a little bit. And then stop, and draw something simple and fun to end off the session. If you're really struggling, break out favorite snack, light a candle, do whatever you need to do to end that session on a positive note. Then, just keep doing that for as long as it takes for your brain to build up a positive association with drawing. And it really is as simple as that. By the time you've built up that positive association and worked on building a healthy relationship to the process, then you will have hopefully also gained enough skills to start branching off into different areas of focus, which is a topic for another time. As a final note, a lot of the people I've talked to have tried to approach learning to draw way too seriously. That's not to say that to pursue a skill like art isn't a serious undertaking, but they approach it with the same solemn feelings as someone going into battle or a funeral, and that's just too much. I think the Spanish writer Balthazar Gracian said it best. Do not make much ado about nothing. Troublesome things should not be taken too seriously. It is preposterous to take to heart what should be thrown over your shoulders. Basically, When you're taking something too seriously, you're putting more weight on it than it's worth. By treating it lightly and taking it with a sense of lightheartedness, the stress from something like drawing, or recording a YouTube video, becomes much easier to handle. Part of the process of learning is failing, but by punishing yourself when you do fail, rather than taking it as yet another learning experience, you're giving yourself one less reason to try again. A lot of the stress of learning most new skills come from taking it too seriously. If you're just focused on having fun and enjoying the process, you're not going to be nearly as upset with yourself when something eventually turns out badly. And it will. But it's only by drawing badly that you can learn to draw well. I certainly hope you've learnt something new, or at the very least, I've given you something to think about. Either way, thank you for giving me your time today, and I hope to see you in my next video.